Palembang is defined by the Musi, a massive golden-brown artery of water that carves its way through the heart of the city. But right in the middle of this heavy current sits a strange outlier. It is a single, small island that refuses to flood. No matter how high the tide rises or how hard the monsoon rains fall, this patch of earth stays dry. Locals see this unsinkable island as a physical mark, a monument to an ancient secret that the river still guards today. To find the truth, you have to look toward the riverbank at night, where traditional raft houses bob gently on the dark water. Inside one of these floating homes, a grandmother named Wakmina is tucking her granddaughter, Chica, into bed. Chica stares out at the dark silhouette of the island and asks why it never disappears beneath the waves. Wakmina tells her the answer is buried in the past, the story of a princess and a merchant who found each other long ago. Centuries ago, these riverbanks were a frantic, bustling market where traders from across the sea met local Palembang merchants. This was the world of Princess Siti Fatima and a foreign merchant named Tan Boon An. They came from completely different cultures, yet they found a connection that bridged the distance between them. When Tan Boon An asked for her hand in marriage, the king gave him one task. He had to return to his distant homeland and bring back his parents' blessing. Their commitment to one another faced a legendary test of loyalty, one that started with a voyage across the ocean. Tan Boon An eventually returned to the Musi River with a fleet of ships. His parents had sent large clay jars as wedding gifts, but at first glance, the jars seemed to contain nothing but cheap salted vegetables. This was a calculated deception. To hide their wealth from river pirates, his parents had packed the gold at the very bottom, using a thick layer of vegetables as a shield. When Tan Boon An opened the jar to inspect the gift, he only saw what was on the surface. He didn't look deep enough to find the treasure hidden underneath the leaves. His own impatience blinded him to the truth, creating a trap that would change their lives forever. Blinding rage took over. Tan Boon An believed his family had deliberately shamed him by sending worthless food to his royal bride. In a fit of fury, he began heaving the heavy clay jars into the deep, rushing river, watching them sink into the silt. It wasn't until the very last jar shattered against the side of the boat that the secret was revealed. Pieces of solid gold sparkled in the moonlight before sinking into the dark water. Desperate to reclaim what he had just thrown away, Tan Boon An dove headfirst into the fierce current. Seeing the man she loved disappearing into the depths, Princess Siti Fatima followed him. She plunged into the dangerous water, choosing the risk of the river over a life without him. The river closed over them both. They never returned to the surface, a heavy price paid for a moment of anger that should have been a moment of understanding. Then the river offered a final miracle. Right where the two lovers vanished, a small mound of earth began to rise from the depths. The locals called it Pulau Kamaro, the dry island. They noticed that even when the Musi River melded into the sky during the worst floods, this island remained untouched by the rising water. Back in the raft house, Wakmina stops speaking as the river current ripples against the wood. Chica looks at her grandmother with a newfound understanding of the land she sees every day. The island persists because it is the indestructible weight of their loyalty. It is a piece of the earth that refuses to sink, just as their commitment to one another refused to break. Wakmina's lesson is simple. Never rush to judge what you see on the surface. True treasures, in people and in life, are often hidden in the depths. Today, that legacy of unity still stands. Thousands gather on the island during festivals like Cap Goma, celebrating under the glow of the Red Pagoda in a rare moment of cultural harmony. The story remains as a guardian for Chica and for all of us as we face our own nights on the water. Because while anger is a flood that can take everything away, a loyalty that survives the current becomes something the world can never drown. It becomes our own personal island, a safe, enduring haven that keeps us from sinking.